It's Collective Live!
Hi, I didn't know we were starting Collective now, but welcome to Collective Live. Yeah, welcome to Collective Live. Super glad that you guys chose to join us this week. We're gonna hear an awesome message from Matthias. He's gonna finish up our series Zero to Hero, so we'll see what he has to say, but go ahead and check out this week's video challenge.
Hey, what's going on, Collective? Each week we give you the opportunity to be a part of the episode, and we do this by our video challenges. And now for this week's challenge, what we want you guys to do is send a rap video of you guys rapping to your favorite Dr. Seuss book. So we want to see you guys rapping to All the Places You Can Go, or my personal favorite, Green Eggs and Ham. Can't wait to see what raw talent is out there. We're excited to see what you guys produce.
Good evening, Collective. It is time for another campus battle. Now, as you know, each week we pit our staff in head-to-head competition in the battle for ultimate campus supremacy. This week, we've got Jenna from the Walnut Creek campus taking on James from the Shadow Lake campus in a game of mini golf. Before we get started, we're gonna have a few minutes to interview the competitors and see what their strategy is. First up, let's go to Jenna. Jenna, welcome to the show.
Thank you, so glad to be here.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Hey, who's this guy?
This is my just loyal caddy, Chris Randall, the Chris Randall.
The Chris Randall. Now, we've been told that Chris Randall is in fact the vice resident of the Walnut Creek campus, so it does make sense to bring him along to just sort of show him the ropes on the golf course. We'll see. Jenna, do you have any strategy that you could share with us today?
I think just less putts to get it to the hole than James.
That is a solid strategy.
Yeah.
Let's go get some words from our competitor here, James Teichman from the Shadow Lake campus. Welcome to the show.
It's great to be here, great to be here.
Good, good. Now, I see that you're alone. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, my caddy, you know, he wanted to be here today, but
I'm sure he did, James. So anyway, let's go ahead and talk some more strategy. What are you gonna do to beat Jenna in today's game?
You know, I think my caddy was Chris Randall over there, and he switched teams, and I see they stole my strategy. I mean, my strategy has always been just get the ball in the hole before the other team does.
Yes.
And so today I think I'm gonna mix it up, and I'm gonna have to find a different strategy.
James is gonna find a different strategy. So it's a bold move, James. Let's see if it works out for him. Let's get to the course. So this first hole is a lovely elevated par 3 that's really going to favor the long driver. As you can see in the back, we've got caddies giving advice, or James just talking to himself about what club he's going to use. All right, I think Jenna's going to be up first. She's getting ready to approach the tee box, but as we see, Chris is not really sure about which club to give her. So she takes the driver, and she's still waiting for Chris to give her the things that she needs. What a terrible caddy. All right, we're at this point quiet on the course. A nice shot from Jenna. It's gonna lie under that screen. As you know, the rules are you have to play the ball as it lies. We'll see what happens next. Again, searching for just the right club. Again, James without a caddy today, so he's at a slight disadvantage. He's reading the wind, reading the grounds here. He calls for quiet. Not a bad shot. He's not as close to the pin as Jenna. However, he's a little bit more out in the open. I'm gonna give Jenna her shot next. We're gonna see how she approaches this one. It's a bit tricky, being that it is intertwined in the rough here. It's like they're trying to get a good read on what the situation is here. Second guesses himself. I don't know how much experience this caddy has, but things aren't looking great for Jenna.
Ground here's flat. I see a little north, south, east, west wind. So if you angle it right.
Looks like Jenna just wants to putt, but Chris just wants to keep talking to her. All right, Chris steps away. And the putt goes a little wide of the hole. That is a decent lie right along the three-point land there. And that'll be the end of their turn. However, if they can get it into the actual cup, they will get to lose 1 stroke from their total score. Now again, here's James reading the lie of the ball. Here we go. That is a nice putt. He covers about half the distance. Now we're back at Chris and Jenna. I think we might have to call a foul on that one. Again, I'm not one to judge anybody's staffing choices, but James may be at an advantage here. Nice straight shot, but it starts to veer off at the end. Man, her and James are just neck and neck at this point. And just like James's, it comes back with that J curl there that is just dreaded by golfers everywhere. Again, nice, smooth shot, goes straight towards the pin, and we get that curve off there at the end, which is just unfortunate. Here's the putt, starts towards the hole. Oh, but it takes a left-handed curve this time. What a shocker. Jenna clearly not happy with that putt. It's going for an unorthodox approach here with the pool shot, which I'm checking with our producers is totally legal. Oh, and he gets it in the hole. Eyes fixed on the pin. Here we go. Oh, and it curves off again. And it's going to land right behind that table. That could be a challenging final putt. Let's see if she can sink it. Oh, and she whiffs it again. Get that ball into the pin as quickly as possible. There she goes. Finally gets it. It's the driver that settles it for her. And we may be onto a new strategy here. So, after the first hole, James Teichmann with a commanding lead over Jenna. Let's see what happens as we approach hole number 2. Now, this next hole is a very cluttered par 3 that has a ton of debris scattered about, and as you can see here, it is elevated over water. Now, if any of our golfers should happen to hit that ball awry and it should fall off of the elevated platform here, they're going to incur a 2-stroke penalty. Now, this means that it is anybody's game. Let's see how we do. All right, as the winner of the previous hole, James is going to be first up. So, looks like he's going to drive that ball towards the south and put it onto the carpet. That is a nice opening drive for James. He's feeling pretty confident about it. Got Chris and Jenna here talking some strategy, trying to figure out what is the best approach here. Oh, she banks it off of some of the debris, putting it straight down the channel. Could she get a hole-in-one? Oh, just misses the pin, but what an incredible lie on that one. Great shot from Jenna. This could be just what she needs to get back into this competition. Now, James is pretty far out. He's on the carpet here. Should have a smooth putt. Here we go. Wants to get in the channel, but just doesn't quite clear the carpet. Nice putt. Oh, he also just misses the pin. Now again, if you'll recall, if one of our competitors can get the ball into the cup, they will be able to minus 1 stroke from their overall total. Jenna really needs this, but will she play the risk, which could involve her falling in the water, or will she just go for the pin? Let's see what happens. Oh, she hits it into the cup. Because that was only her second stroke and -1, Jenna technically gets a hole-in-one on what is probably the most difficult hole on the course. Let's see what happens here with James. Oh, he does the same thing, which allows him to take a hole-in-2 on this one. Let's see what happens as we move towards hole number 3, what could be the most difficult course in all of golf history. Ladies and gentlemen, we're on our way to our third and final hole. Now this hole is actually going to happen upstairs. So as you can see, our competitors are loading the elevator right now, moving their gear up. But again, this is going to be a challenging hole for our competitors. And now, looks like James is taking the long way. Let's see how this turns out. Teichmann approaches the tee box for this third and final hole. Let's see which strategy he uses. Again, remember, both of these competitors have committed to the strategy of using less putts to get... Oh my gosh, Chris out of nowhere. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to apologize for that horrible, horrible display of sportsmanship on behalf of Chris. Now, just so that you know, we strive for a professional game here. And so what has happened is Chris has actually been fined $250,000 by the PGA, and Jenna is going to have to caddy for herself. Here goes Jenna's first shot. Just beautiful. You couldn't ask for a better first drive. James goes with a hard hit and a bank shot off the wall. It's a good traveling, but he goes over the edge, off of the barrier, into the rough. Ladies and gentlemen, Jenna is teeing up for her second shot. Again, she had such a great drive. Let's see if she can get it to hit the pin this time. Giving her a hole-in-2, or if she can get it in the cup, a hole-in-1. Again, she goes with that gentle approach as the ball goes down the stairs, but it only makes it about halfway. She's going to go ahead and shoot again. Looks like she could be employing a different strategy as she goes for the over-the-rail approach. It's unorthodox to say the least, but let's see how it works out for her. Good hit, but unfortunately it just goes wide of the pin by a significant margin. If he can sink this putt, it could cement a victory for James. Oh, nice putt, but it does do that signature trail off and not in the direction that he wants it to go. He's still in pretty good shape as Jenna's pretty far away from the pin. But stranger things have happened. Powerful shot. Oh, she hits the pin from far out. What a great shot by Bloodworth in this final hole. But will it be enough? Tries his best to read the green. So many unpredictable things here. Could be going to that pool shot again. Oh, just misses it. That's not what you want to see. It's not what you want to see at all. James visibly frustrated. Goes with that hockey stick approach, the Happy Gilmore they call it. And again, the ball trails off. It looks like James might be finishing in the way that Jenna started. Jenna's game got stronger as the course went on. James is struggling here down the stretch. Shoot. Oh, even still, what a robbery. Again, James visibly frustrated. The ball is not cooperating with him. He goes back down to the stomach. Can the pool shot close things out? And it does. James clearly upset, and another egregious display of unsportsmanlike conduct. Ladies and gentlemen, I am standing here with today's winner from Calvary Walnut Creek, Jenna. Jenna, you started out, it was a mess, let's just be honest, but you finished strong, and that is what ultimately brought you the victory. How are you feeling right now?
You know, I'm feeling great. You know, I'm not gonna lie to you, Brandon, it was a rough start. And kind of hard to get over that first hole when you know you're starting in a deficit, but feeling good and just kind of stayed strong, stayed mentally tough throughout the whole course.
Yes. Now, as is no secret, some heavy fines were levied against your caddy for some egregious, unsportsmanlike conduct.
Yeah.
Can you comment on how you feel about that?
Yeah, Chris, you know, he's a great guy, vice president at Walnut Creek, and I think the emotions of the day and even just the rough start that we had really just got to him.
I got you. Well, hopefully he can be on a path of restoration. He can work out his issues with the anger management classes that have been levied against him, and hopefully we'll see him again soon.
Yes.
Again, congratulations, Jenna. Thanks for joining us
Thanks,
today.
Brandon.
June 6, 2016. This was the day where my life changed drastically. I remember I was sitting at a camp in a seat in the middle row, and it was at a camp called Camp Lex. Now, this was a church camp that I've been to many, many times before, but the speaker that night stepped down from that stage and challenged every single person in that room to ask the question, God, what do you want for my life? And I remember in that moment, I was sitting there and I'm like, God, I really don't know what you want for my life. And God, honestly, I don't even know if I've asked you that question before. Later that night, after the whole service was done, I remember walking back to my dorm room. It's dark, their stars are out, it's beautiful, it's a beautiful night. And I remember going to my bed, and in my dorm room, I remember walking in and I remember seeing all the guys in my dorm room. They're hooting, they're hollering, they're throwing stuff. There's Cheetos flying everywhere. There's a Cheez Whiz stuck to the ceiling. How did it get there? I do not know. But I remember going to my bed, just rattled by this question of, God, what do you want me to do in my life? And I remember laying on my bed, and I remember closing my eyes, and I'm asking the question, God, what do you want for my life? And at that very second, everything in the room went silent. Now, the noise around me, the guys around me, the leaders around me, their mouths were still moving, but I couldn't hear anything. And I remember sitting there just thinking, what is happening? And in a few seconds after that moment, God spoke to me and he said the word pastor. Now for you, I don't know what that means, but when I was in that moment, I was like, what the heck just happened? I remember sitting up from my bed, like feeling a sweat drop run down my side and being like, what? And so in this moment, as the noise all came back together right after the word pastor was said, and I could hear it and I could feel it on my heart, I had needed some fresh air. So I stepped outside the dorm room and I just began to breathe heavily because I was out of breath. I remember asking God, what did you just do? What does this mean? I was so confused and I was so weirded out by this. But then he spoke to me again and he said, do not be afraid, for I am with you. And I will lead you and I will guide you through this. And I remember having an argument with God in that moment. I was like, God, I'm not doing this. There's no way. Because I grew up a very shy kid. I would go to school and I would say probably 2 to 3 sentences throughout the whole day. But I remember God saying, hey, I got you and do not worry about a thing. This is the same thing as we look at Joshua. So if you guys want to flip open to the book of Joshua, this is the same thing that happened to Joshua, just in a little bit different manner. Joshua's life was changed drastically when Moses died. See, because Moses was leading his people to the promised land that God promised, and Moses died. And so there was supposed to be a new leader who was supposed to arise. God appointed a servant named Joshua. And as we're talking about this in the series called Zero to Hero, Joshua right now was at a 0. He just was appointed leader. And in Joshua chapter 1, we read that Moses has died and someone had to step up. And this guy's name was Joshua. Now, this was not an easy task. The book of Joshua is 24 chapters, 658 verses, 1 leader, 40 years, and 2 million people. If I was Joshua in that moment, I would be freaking out. Because Moses has been leading these people for a long time, and for Joshua just to step up and be like, all right, we're going to do this, that would have freaked me out. Now I want to read with you guys Joshua 1, verses 1 through 19. Verse 1 says this: After the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord said to Joshua, son of Nun, Moses' aide, Moses, my servant is dead. Now then, you and all these people get ready to cross the Jordan River into the land I am about to give to them, to the Israelites. I will give you every place where you set foot, as I promised Moses. Your territory will extend from the desert to Lebanon and from the great river of Euphrates and all the Hittite country and to the Mediterranean Sea in the west. No one will be able to stand against you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. Be strong and courageous, because you will lead these people to inherit the land I swore to their ancestors to give them. Be strong and very courageous. Be careful to obey the law my servant Moses has given you. Do not turn from it. Do not turn left or do not turn right, that you may be successful wherever you go. Keep this book of the law always on your lips. Meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you will be prosperous and successful. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you for wherever you go. And so can you just picture Joshua right now in this moment where he has just figured out that Moses has died, and he's the one who also just figured out that God have appointed him to be the new leader. And like I said, he was just appointed the new leader. He had confidence that God would keep his promise to conquer the land. He was leading 2 million people. But there were so many things that God told him also in this moment. Be strong and courageous, that's number 1. And guys, let's be honest, being strong and being courageous is a lot easier said than done. Right now, I want to tell you guys a story, but before I do that, I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear about a time where you guys were strong and courageous, or a time where you heard a voice from God. So right now, I want you to take 30 seconds, and in that chat bar, I want you to type out that story. Just make it a small little blip. Ready, set, go. For some of you, this story might scare you a little bit, but trust me, this has a great outcome, and we can see where this person was strong and courageous. I was at a camp in Minnesota, and at this camp, before I went to this camp, I've been to like 6 or 7 other camps before this. And so I was drained, I was emotionally drained, I was physically tired, I was burnt out, and I just couldn't continue to serve these kids and these counselors in this camp. I was tired, and so one night, as we were having this thing called a bonfire, they were singing worship songs, and I had to step out of the room, and I stepped out of the room, and there was other students and other leaders out there, and I remember just sitting on this patio table, and I remember just taking a deep breath and just trying to relax and trying to catch my breath and trying to regain my strength. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the voice of the Lord spoke to me again, and he said, you need to go talk to those people right over there. And in that moment, I'm like, God, there's no way. Like these are just 2 guys, and there's a guy and a girl. They're just sitting there, and they're crying, and they're talking. And I was like, I'm just going to let them do this, because that is sometimes a good thing to let them do. But then God told me again, he's like, no, go. And so I remember I went over there and I was like, fine, God, whatever. I walked over there and I was like, hey guys, what's going on? And at the beginning, they pushed me away. But then as I started to pursue this, because I know that God was like, go. And as I started a conversation with these people, they kind of revealed to me what was happening. There was a girl in this camp who came from a bad home, and she was not having a great experience, not only in her life, but at this camp as well. And it got to the point where she decided that she did not want to live anymore. And I remember them telling me this, and in my heart, it started to just beat faster. It went boom, 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 boom. And as it continued to beat faster, I knew that I had to react to something. So I said, where is this girl at? And I remember they said that she was in her cabin. And so I grabbed one of my female leaders and I said, hey, you need to come with me right now. And I remember walking into this room and I remember seeing this girl as there was like rope around the room. And I don't want to describe the rest of the story because it is a little graphic. But I remember grabbing this girl and saying, hey, what are you doing? And I remember this counselor in kind of a shock mode. But I remember what Joshua did of being strong and courageous. And in my mind, I was thinking, this is the worst possible scenario that I could ever be in. And I remember I grabbed the rope and I threw it outside the door. And I remember telling the leader, hey, stay here because I need to go get somebody else because there's not enough of us here. So I went to go get somebody else. And as I was bringing them back, I came back into the room and the counselor and the kid, they were sitting on the bed just talking. And I remember my heart started to calm down a little bit because I'm like, all right, this situation is calming down a little bit. And in that moment, I was scared out of my mind still because I didn't know what was going to happen. And it takes me back to the moment when I was in Camp Lex and I said, yes, God, I'll do that. Or God, I hear your voice. Yeah, let's do this. Help me be strong and courageous. God, I'll follow you, whatever it might be. And I remember in that moment when I was standing in that doorway of that moment in Camp Lex, because if I wouldn't have listened to God's voice right then and there, I don't know what would have happened to this girl. See, here's the same thing. Joshua listens to God as well, and he ends up going on to do amazing things throughout the book of Joshua. For instance, he breaks down the walls of Jericho. He destroys all those walls. He splits the Jordan River just like Moses did. And this is where Joshua is a hero to those people and to the 2 million people that were following him. And we see this in verses 10 through 15 as they're starting to pack up, as they're moving out. Before these events happened, they were moving out to these events, and then these events happened. Joshua is telling the plan of what is going to happen. Now I want to read with you guys Joshua 1, 16 through 17. And it says this. Then they answered Joshua, whatever you have commanded us to do, we will do. And wherever you send us, we will go. Just as we obeyed Moses, so we will obey you. Only may the Lord your God be with you as he was with Moses. And this leads me to the question, when was the last time you guys told God that? When was the last time you said, God, I will follow you wherever you want to take me? Or God, I will listen to whatever you have to say and I will do whatever you tell me to do. Guys, I didn't want to be in that camp at Minnesota. I really didn't, if I'm being honest with you. But now that I'm looking back at that, I am so glad that I was. If I didn't listen to God's voice then, I don't know what would have happened to that girl or to that family. Our strength to do God's work comes from trusting him. His promises reassure us of his love and that he will be there to guide us in the decisions and the struggles that we face. Faith begins with believing he can be trusted. Now, I know that some of you are probably wondering what happened to this girl. And I'll be pleased and I'll be happy to share with you that after that moment, we got her to counseling, and there was a long process that the other camp took care of. But I'm pleased to share that she knows the Lord Jesus, and she is pursuing her new dream that God has given her of becoming a motivational speaker and of a person who is preaching the gospel and sharing others with Jesus. She's taking Jesus from the circumstances. She's taking the story that she is so ingrained with, and she's sharing it with other people, and she has inspired many other believers. The question that I want to leave you guys today is, what is God calling you to do?
There's a table that you prepared for me in the presence of my enemies. It's your body, your blood you shed for me. This is how I fight my battles. There's a table that you prepared for me in the presence of my enemies. It's your body, your blood you shed for me. This is how I fight my battles. And I believe you've overcome, and I will lift my song of praise for what you've done. This is how I fight my battles. 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 This is how. In the valley, I know that you're with me. Surely your goodness and your mercy follow me. So my weapons are praise and thanksgiving. This is how I fight my battles. And I believe you've overcome, and I will lift my song of praise for what you've done. This is how I fight my battles. 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 This is how. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you, God. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. It may look like I'm surrounded.
Hey, Matthias did an awesome job wrapping up our series Zero to Hero. I hope you guys were encouraged. This week, don't forget to send in your videos of you rapping any Dr. Seuss book, any style. I prefer Dr. Dre, Tupac, Eminem. Those are the top three, the three-headed monster of the rap game. So rap any Dr. Seuss book and send that video in to us. And also, guys, don't forget small groups going on here very shortly. Go ahead and engage with us through the link in the description down below. We'll love to see you guys there. Hello again. It's done. So, we finished. I'm a little messy. I gotta go clean up, so I'm gonna head to small groups. I need to wash up, so we'll see you guys in small groups. Please leave. Yeah, please leave. I'm not supposed to be in this room. I'm not supposed to be eating these, but go to small groups. Please don't tell anybody. Please? Please don't tell anybody. I can't stop. Go to groups. Guys, the link's in the description, please. Just go. Don't tell anybody. I promise. I know what I'm doing, and it's okay. Just go to groups, okay? All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. Go to groups. All right. Go to groups.